Finally, some of the really great features of Luminar Neo are here. I think that this is an excellent lens. Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma and professionally I'm a software developer, but in my free time I love landscape photography and making related videos here on YouTube. In today's video, I wanted to take an updated look at Luminar Neo. Now, I looked at this photo editing software a few months back when it was released, but as cool as it was then, it really didn't feel like quite a fair review, with some of the main features of the app having not actually been released yet. However, Luminar have been able to make some updates and I have downloaded those, and so I want to take a look at them today. Before I get into this, I do want to make a correction from my last video. In that, I said that I didn't think that it was possible to do defringing in Luminar Neo, and it was pointed out to me nicely in the comments that that is possible. So let me just show you how to do that really quick. So if I just open up a photo here, you can see what I can do is go to the Edit tab, and under Develop, there's this Optics section. If I expand that, there's an Auto Defringe checkbox, which will remove the fringe from the image. Now, this is just one checkbox, so it doesn't give you a lot of fine detailed controls over defringing, but like I said in that last video, I think that that's more what I would want to see from a software like Luminar Neo, is something that kind of automatically looks at the image and removes the fringing for you rather than those more manual controls. So to get into the things that I want to look at today, I'm particularly interested to look at the masking AI, the portrait bokeh, and the portrait background removal. These features weren't available for me to look at the last time that I made a video about Luminar Neo, and they're really some very powerful, good new features. So to do that, I'm just going to pull up some pictures of myself. Now, you can see also the catalog here. I didn't get a chance to talk about this last time, and I'm not going to get too much into it today, but Luminar does have a nice catalog here that you can put a folder of images into to browse and edit, which is pretty nice. So I'm just going to open up this selfie here. This is a picture that I took when I was in Hawaii. It was just a shot with the selfie camera on my phone, so just a kind of a casual photo, but it is kind of a nice photo, so I want to see what kinds of improvements that I can make to it using these tools. So the first thing that I want to show you is the new Mask AI feature. So suppose that in this image I wanted to saturate the photo a little bit more. Now to do that, I can go over to Edit, Color, and pull up the saturation. Pretty easy, right? But at this point, you can see that my face is really oversaturated looking, which is not a good look at all. So I want to get rid of that. Now, what I would normally have to do in a regular photo editor is to mask off myself from this. But in Luminar Neo, I can still mask myself off, but I can use AI to make it much easier. So what I will do is click on the masking section right here and go to Mask AI. Now it takes a second to process this, especially the first time, but once it gets ready, I will be able to mask myself off really easily. Alright, so the Mask AI has run now, and the first thing that you might be tempted to do looking at this is to toggle on all of the things that aren't your subject. However, when I do that, you can see that it's really kind of missed some spots that didn't fit into one of the categories that the AI has located here. And so what I want to do is not do that. I'm going to turn those back off. And instead, I'm going to select Human. Now, at this point, I've put the mask on myself, but it's actually applying the saturation to me and not to the background, which is the opposite of what I wanted. So I'm going to go back, and under Mask Actions, there is an invert option. If I invert it, now I have the background being more saturated and my face not being more saturated. And now if I click on the little eyeball and hold it down, you can see that's what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. This masking AI is available on almost all of the editing functions throughout Luminar Neo, and it's an incredibly powerful tool that gets added on to the relatively mundane tools here to add a lot of AI power to those edits. It's really nice because when you're working with portraits, a lot of times you might want to make adjustments to the background or to the subject and not to both. And this way you don't have to spend really any time at all creating a mask. In just a few seconds, Luminar Neo is able to make the mask for you automatically. The next new feature that I want to look at on this photo is the Portrait Bokeh AI. If you've ever shot a photo on your phone that wasn't in portrait mode and wish that it had been in portrait mode, or you took a shot at a tighter aperture and wished you had a softer background on the portrait, the Portrait Bokeh AI feature is really going to be for you. I can remember a few times in the past when I wanted a softer background, just duplicating the portrait and putting a blur effect on it and then masking off the subjects, and that was really quite tedious and it was really hard to make it very natural looking. However, much faster I can get a much more natural looking fake bokeh in the background of a photo using this feature in Luminar Neo. To do that, you'll just go to the Portrait Bokeh AI under the portrait section, click on that, and you can just drag the amount slider up until you have your desired additional softness in the background. It goes up pretty high. I'm not going to put it that high for this photo though. I'm going to go with something a little bit more natural looking. Now what's really cool about this and what really makes it look so good is that it's actually taken into account the depth of the photograph. And so if you look over here on the road, and just ignore the mask popping up as I mouse over it, but on the road to the left of me in this photo, you can see that right up here real close where the sidewalk is that's near to me, the photo is still nice and sharp. It hasn't been blurred at all, but as I go back down this street, you can see that it gets softer and softer, and this building in the background that's really far away is very, very blurred. And so this really makes this look very good. It looks very natural, and it almost kind of fools me a little bit into thinking that this was shot with the camera with a nice wide open aperture, when in reality it was taken with the selfie camera on my phone. I think that this has done a much better job even than the portrait mode on the phone would have done. It just looks very good and very natural. Now, it's not totally perfect. I've noticed if I just toggle it off and back on, you'll see that it kind of has clipped in my hair a little bit. It's trimmed off some of the flyaway hairs and it's made my hair a little bit smaller. Now, I don't really mind that because I could probably use some help cleaning up my hair in a lot of photos anyways. However, if you didn't want that for some reason, you can make adjustments to the way that it's put this on here. So you can rebrush the mask a little bit if you want, as well as under the background section here. You could make adjustments to the color of the background, or of course you could do those with the mask AI that I just showed you. But then at the bottom of that, there is depth correction and edge correction. And what that's going to let you do is just kind of adjust the way that the AI is interpreting the image, kind of tweak things a little bit to get it just right. And now finally, the feature that actually caused me to buy Luminar Neo in the first place is the portrait background removal. And so that is now available, and so I'm excited to take a look at that today as well. A lot of times for YouTube thumbnails, I want to cut out myself or some object from an image as I kind of assemble different pieces of the thumbnail together. And while this isn't really going to help me with objects, although maybe they'll add that in the future, I don't know if that's on their radar or not, this is really helpful for cutting myself out of an image to put myself into a thumbnail image, which is why I wanted to get this software to do that for me. So just to show you that, I will pull up this little selfie here. And this feature is actually a little bit hidden. It's under layer properties and then masking, and you'll see the portrait background option there. You click on that and then you can click on remove, and it will go ahead and remove the background from this photo. And so pretty quickly that's done a relatively good job of that. And so if I were to want to put a new background on, I could just click the plus button here to add a new layer. I'll just select this image of the beach in Hawaii and I'll turn the opacity all the way up on it. Now it's over top of me, so I'll drag it to the bottom and resize it really quick. And so just like that, you can see that I put myself onto the beach in Hawaii. Now, this is kind of a silly example because the selfie that I've used, I'm in a sweater, so I don't look like I'm on the beach at all. The two images don't fit together, but obviously, depending on what you were doing, you would use images that fit together better for this. But I just wanted to show you how good of a job that does in this situation at removing the background pretty quickly. Now, this photo had a good separation between my face and the background, and it was a nice clean close-up photo, and so Luminar was able to do a pretty good job of that. Now, I want to show you not to overrate this feature, that it does make mistakes sometimes. And so, as much as I like it, I do want to be honest about how it works. So if I go back and open up this photo, this is a good example of a shot from a YouTube thumbnail. I don't remember what video I took this for, but I just kind of took this silly picture, and then I cut myself out of it and put myself in the video. So I was just kind of sitting on my bed taking a shot, and if I mask this off, remove the background, you can see that it hasn't really gotten this quite right. There's a chunk of my bed still visible here. We don't want that. And then in kind of all the corners here, around my arms and so forth, it's missed things a little bit. Now, we can go ahead and make some fixes to this within Luminar Neo by kind of giving it some tips as to how it should interpret this. So I can select the background thing right here, and I can just brush over the background area here where the bed is to tell it that that's not supposed to be in the image. And then I can take the transition brush and just tell it that this section here should be the transition between the background and the subject. And so I can just kind of brush over things, and it's not actually too hard using this to tell the AI basically to take another look at this section of the image because it's made a mistake there. And so, just while I've been talking to you, I've been able to clean that up and actually get it looking pretty decent. So you can make some fixes to it. You can also say, okay, that's a good start, and pull it out and look at it in another app if you wanted to do that. But it works best at the moment on kind of cleaner backgrounds with good separation to the subject. And so, as cool as that feature is, I do think there's some room for improvement there, maybe to make it work better on busier backgrounds, as well as to add the ability to select different objects other than portraits. So I'd be interested to maybe see some updates, either in future updates to Luminar Neo or future Luminar software, to actually make this better. This portrait background removal was kind of one of the highlight features of the software. However, it's also, I imagine, a much more technically challenging feature to develop. And on top of that, Luminar is a Ukrainian company. They're working out of Ukraine right now, and obviously, as their country's been invaded, I'm sure that has slowed down their work process. I don't know how they have even managed to still be releasing things at all, and yet they have put together some good updates for us. And so definitely want to say more power to them for that, thank them for that, and wish them the best of luck with everything. So that is all for this video. If you'd like to see more videos about Luminar Neo, leave me a comment and let me know, as well as just let me know what kinds of videos you guys would like to see. Obviously, I can't promise to make every video that's suggested to me, but if it is something that I'm able to make and people seem to be interested in it, I definitely will try to do that. And so it would be really helpful to me to know what kinds of videos you guys want to see, so I can make things that will interest you. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, and to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more things that I'm really excited to share with you in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.